Hello, all you do-it-yourselfers. It's Shannon Gunn here from Legalize. This episode, just like the one before and the two additional ones that are coming up, are all about how to run and hopefully win your IRS. Today's episode focuses specifically on what I consider as something of a national treasure, CanLii. What is CanLii? Never heard of it? Well, let me introduce you. It is a free legal reporting website. To find it, you would type in CAN, like the first three letters in Canada, LII.org. It stands for Canadian Legal Information Institute. So CanLii.org, O-R-G. There are some other LIIs out there. CanLii is not the only one. There is PACLii from Papua New Guinea, including Pacific Islands, NZLii, which is New Zealand, AsianLii, which apparently is Afghanistan. Try looking up AustLii, AUSTLII, Australia's site. GoDaddy says you can buy that site for $23,911 US. Can't afford to buy it? Apparently you can rent it at the low rate of $518.08 US per month. Austli.org could be yours. Wake up, Australia! Don't you know what happened to us in 2008 where CBC lost the rights to the Hockey Night in Canada theme? That could be you. Not bitter about that or anything. Lots of countries have realized that there's a pressing need to ensure that their cases, their laws are available to people free of charge. These LII.orgs are actually a key part of a global call to action called the Free Access to Law movement, which actually had its origins at the University of Montreal in 2002. Are you thinking, free access to law movement sounds a little like the free love movement from the 60s? But it's really different from that. And if you thought this podcast was about the free love movement and flower power, well, I'm sorry, you're going to be very disappointed. But hold on. Don't leave, because even though this episode is not all about sex, it is still really interesting. Oh, you've got to forgive me. Occupational hazard. Until this sex work case is done in the Supreme Court of Canada, sex is going to be in every single one of my podcasts. I can just see it, even on CanLii. Sorry. Getting back to our sheep, as they say in French. Law via the Internet. While the first LII started in Cornell University in 1992, Canada had a lot to do with it, and CanLii has become one of the largest and most complete LIIs in the world. I want to show you today how you can leverage the power of this great legal tool. If you want to find a law, you can go and explore in alphabetical order. You can look up regulations. Got a traffic ticket? Take a good look at that ticket. What section or regulation was mentioned? See if the description on CanLii fits what the description on the ticket says. You can really have some fun with this. Today I want to show you how to do three things. Find legislation, find the Charter and other constitutional acts, and find case law. Ready to get set? Let's go. So first, when you get to the home page, there's going to be a box that says search all databases. You probably don't want to do that. That is just too vague, too broad. You're going to be there forever. At least know whether you want case law or legislation, and maybe the place, like Alberta, Saskatchewan, or the level, like federal government. So I would go to the next box down. That one's called primary law. Such a promising title. Now, when I say we're going to start with legislation, don't make a sad face. It's not boring. This will be very interesting, I promise. So first, pick your place. If you're interested in the criminal code, well, that's a federal statute. So click on Canada Federal. But when you do that, you're going to see another big box again. Skip that one. Focus, focus. Consolidated statutes. That's what you want to click on. And then you'll see an alphabet list comes up. Click on C because criminal code, there are 2 C's in there. It's very, very much under C. And you'll see it right under Crimes Against Humanity and War Crimes Act. See? Your curiosity is already piqued. You already want to click on that one and forget about the criminal code. Focus, focus, little grasshopper. We are on a mission. You'll see that the criminal code is also not far above creation of EU ISTCHI Governance Agreement Act. Oh no, now I want to go there. See what I mean? CanLii is addictive. As soon as you get in there, you're off like an ADHD rabbit looking at everything. There's so much to see. Then you do the same with the provincial legislation. You go to Alberta, you skip the larger box, and you go to either consolidated statutes or regulations. I'm just going to give you a tour of the Alberta quartet that make up the Safe Roads Symphony. Music we get to play every day. The Safe Roads Alberta regulation. Did you hear the word regulation? That's where you're going to be clicking first. The Provincial Administrative Penalties Act. Act means consolidated statutes. The Provincial Administrative Penalties Regulation. Yes, that is different from the Provincial Administrative Penalties Act and the Traffic Safety Act. So, hint, acts are in consolidated statutes. Regulations are in, boy, I know, this is a tough one, regulations. Okay, so then if you go to consolidated statutes, and let's say we're looking for the Traffic Safety Act, you are catching on fast, T, Traffic Safety Act, and you'll find it just above the Trails Act. I couldn't help it. I clicked on it. Yep, it's about trails. It was created in 2021 by a very bored government official. Now, before you go plunging into all the sections and subsections of Traffic Safety Act, stop for a moment and enjoy the view, particularly the horizon. See those beautiful tabs at the top? The document is important. That is where you would just scroll down. It's where you are already to look at the various sections and subsections. Versions, you'll see in bracket there are 45 of them. Those are for finding older versions of this act. So say, for example, you really never dealt with that ticket from 1982 and all of a sudden, I don't know why you weren't convicted in your absence or you didn't do something with it, but there it is, coming up to haunt you so many years later. You can go to the version of the Traffic Safety Act that was in place at the same month and day in 1982. And then finally, you'll see a spot called Regulations at the top. And beside it, it says there are 51. And yes, the Safe Roads Alberta regulation is in there, but don't click on that. That is a very clumsy way of getting to the Safe Roads Alberta regulation. By the way, if you skim over all of those regulations, your eyes will start to hurt you and you will not enjoy it. That is a curiosity killer. Yucky, stay away. So go back to the Alberta page and this time, instead of consolidated statutes, choose regulations. Click on S. Guess where I'm going. Yes, the beloved and dreaded Safe Roads Alberta regulation. The sections that you are most interested in, sections 2 and 4. It was easy to find. It's right at the top of the list. And so I think now you've got the hang of legislation. But what if you really wanted to read the charter? And you know what? When you tell me that, my little lawyer heart just sings. I love the charter too. What's your favorite section? My favorite section? Section 7. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. So fun. That just makes me happy. And it covers so many things that at first may not seem to have anything to do with any of the words I just said. That's what makes it mysterious. If you want to go there, and you really should, go back to the homepage, go to Canada Federal, go to Constitutional Acts, and between the two options that are open to you, Constitution Act 1867, choose the newer one, Constitution Act 1982, aka the Charter. Isn't it great that our Constitution has an alias? And you are off on a charter wonderland. Now for cases. Let me introduce you to a beautiful case called Gordy. I love Gordy. Lots of lawyers love Gordy, Gordey, Justice Harris's decision. So much to like about it. Now, how do you find it? Well, let me help you. If you go to the Alberta homepage, you'll see there's a box that says Cases. You could put Gordey in the main box without going to any level of court, and Gordy versus Alberta Director of Safe Roads 2023 ABKB 228 will pop up as an option. Just move the cursor down, click on it, and you get to read everything that Justice Harris said about the notes and reports of officers that you are really entitled to, but that you probably didn't get in disclosure. Great case. Now, there was another way of finding that. You could have gone to court level, and then you can see there's Court of Appeal, which is at the top because it is at the top in the hierarchy of courts. Then, next one down, Court of King's Bench. Then, underneath that, Court of Justice. If you know what level of court your case is in, you can click on the level of court that you need. But if you know the name of the case, you can put it in at the top, and often, but not always, especially if it's a case like Smith or Jones, you're going to get a million of them. So you might need a little bit more information like the year or the level of court, but this gives you an idea of how to find something relatively quickly. Are you starting to feel like a legal rock star? Hold on to your hat because it just gets better. I'm going to show you how to search for cases and how to keep up to date on those cases if you're so inclined. If you have gone to our other podcasts and you've heard the one called The Wild Wild West of Judicial Review, you know that judicial review is really, really important in shaping the way adjudicators in safe roads decide these cases. Those judicial review applications are the means by which the law gets better. Or if not always better, in this lawyer's opinion, at minimum, it gets clearer. If you want to go to the general search button, now here we're at the very top. If you want to search for the latest cases that might be able to help you, first go to the Court of King's Bench. Why? Because all cases of judicial review are heard in the Court of King's Bench. You won't find any in the Court of Justice. You will find some appeals in the Court of Appeal, but the judicial reviews themselves are all in the Court of King's Bench. So go there. Once you're there, in that bigger box at the top, put in quotation marks, judicial, then space, review, then close the quotation marks, then type and safe roads, and then capital N-O-T, like not in very emphatic language, then quotation marks, accelerated review, closed quotation marks. This is my special secret recipe for how to find good cases without being bogged down by garbage. The reason why you put those quotation marks is that allows CanLii to search for a phrase. And AND says that it has to be accompanied by this other term. Capital NOT means but not ever including the following phrase, accelerated review. You should end up with about 90 to 100 decisions. Have fun reading those. I like reading them. I've read all of them, but you might just want to start with the most recent ones, and you'll see that you can put them in order with respect to most recent or oldest. Another handy search term that you should keep in mind when you're doing a Boolean search, Boolean, that's the kind of search that CanLii uses, and there are special little terms and tricks you can use, but another one that's important is the plus and then number sign. So if I wrote, for example, administrative, and then I did +4 penalty, that would mean, and there would be spaces between administrative and the plus, and it's literally the plus sign, and then 4 space penalty. It means that it will search all the decisions to see where administrative is followed by penalty 4 words later. If you did the /4, it's penalty within 4 words of administrative, so it could be before or after. See how interesting? And what if you're looking for administrator, administration, administrate, administrative? Well, you could just do administ and then exclamation point. Just stop it at administ, and it will look for all of those variations on the rest of it. Kind of neat, hey? Now you can use CanLii to find statutes and regulations. You know how to search for case law, and you know how to look at the charter. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you need any more help, you can listen to the next 2 podcasts, but if that doesn't do it for you, you should really contact counsel. CanLii is tons of fun to explore, but when you've got a lot on the line, it's best to hire a lawyer. And of course, I have to say that because if you lose your IRS and you are relying on this podcast, you can't come after me to sue me. I've said this before. Go explore CanLii and go explore Bailey. And if you want to, go and buy ostli.org. Stay tuned because there's more in this How to Run and Hopefully Win Your IRS 2.0 version. In Part 3, we explore what kinds of arguments are really winning these days, and Part 4 is all about oral and written advocacy. Thanks for listening. Shannon Gunn Emery signing off.